if you could explain what is the crack?
Hey,
The crack. How can I have the crack? What's the crack?
What is the crack? You are the crack.
welcome back to Audio Crack. This is a very special episode. It is our first episode with a official presenting sponsor. I'd like to introduce you guys to Dub. I've never been more hyped to do an ad read in my life. I am now doing the first ad read for a presenting sponsor for Audio Crack with a product that I believe very much in. We have Audio Crack partnering with Dub Invest. Dub Invest, you're going to hear a lot about in the rest of the episode. It is a product that I thoroughly stand behind. Dub is like eBay for investing. They built a marketplace where you can copy the investments of great traders or be the trader who gets copied. It's a democratization of access to hedge funds. Dub is bringing the concept of picking people instead of stocks to invest to the masses. Today, you need millions to invest in a top hedge fund manager. And guess what? You're going to get the same returns of some of the same people that handle billions of dollars of assets and get the same returns that they provide to their high, rich clientele. You're going to be able to get some of the same returns too. It's portfolios based on politicians, insiders, and hedge funds. Users have built portfolios that track their public trade filings. One of the top performers is the Pelosi portfolio. It is up 70% this year. You can copy Nancy Pelosi's stock picks. We've all been hearing about these for years. Portfolios are now Public Securities and Exchange Commission, and they're a federal body, and they don't really put up with a lot. They put a lot of people in prison. So these guys are held accountable. So I'd recommend throwing some of that sports gambling budget in the app. At least it won't go to zero, and it's really not much work. Sign up for a 1-week free trial of Dub, cancel at any time, and invite friends and get $20 each. It's an amazing app. I'm so happy that they're partnering with Audio Crack, and I really believe in what they're doing. Now back to the program. And in honor of our first presenting sponsor, we are actually having the CEO of Dub, the founder, the one with a brilliant idea that is honestly one of the greatest ideas I've ever heard and aligns specifically with my ideology. Literally a lot of what I believe in. Stephen Wong, Stephen, Harvard attender. And that's something I want to get into. And CEO and founder of Dub. Honestly, Stephen, this is like, there's so many people who have been looking for this exact service, including the CEO and founder of Barstool Sports, Dave Portnoy. He specifically put out a clip saying, hey, how do I know what all the people who are rigging Wall Street, who are using the government to stock select, how do I just copy what they're doing? And you guys are doing it. Stephen, thank you so much for coming on.
Billy, thank you for having me. I'm really looking forward to this. And you know what, to Dave's point, I was one of those kids during the meme stock era when all this stuff was crashing down in 2020, 2021. I was watching Davey Day Trader Global, and it was hilarious. And it was, wow, I can't believe that was like 4 years ago at this point. I was in my dorm room. I'm just a kid from Detroit, but it was pretty wild just to think about just how much the world has changed since then. And I feel very blessed to be here now in New York City with you, Billy. Just even having the chance to work with a phenomenal group of people, run a company that can sponsor the podcast. But I think we're really lucky. I think just to be able to work with you, especially knowing what you've done, sort of running for Congress, what you've sort of championed in the values and that alignment there. So I'm really excited. This is the first thing that we've done in terms of sponsoring someone like you in a podcast like this. So cheers to that. I'm having a beer at it's 4 p.m. on a Tuesday. We're getting started early. Happy hours.
I wanted to, so like, let's, you have a great story, and you're younger than me, which was the wildest thing. I didn't even know that. I honestly thought you're like 28. You didn't graduate Harvard. And now here's my first question. Once you get into Harvard, I feel like most people don't even want to graduate. They want to find an idea so they can leave Harvard and go make money. All this, like Zuckerberg did the same thing. There's a couple others. It's kind of hilarious. Like, is graduating from Harvard honestly a failure if you go to Harvard?
Okay, I'll be honest. Everyone wants to be the next Mark Zuckerberg and Bill Gates. I was certainly one of those kids growing up. I had Asian parents that'd be like, either be a lawyer, doctor, or be like Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg. So when I went to Harvard, I was like, it'd be pretty dope to kind of leave early.
Yeah.
But I'd say the other side of it is, so this is actually the second time I left school.
Yeah.
So in high school was the first time I actually left, dropped out, took a sabbatical. I was gone for 2 years. And that was when I worked my first company. So I had a rep at this already.
Oh.
So when I sort of had the idea and COVID screwed school up, Harvard it was great. The people were phenomenal, but every school had a tough time during COVID. Yeah. And the thing is, only freshmen were let back on campus for a first semester at Harvard. And there were only kids in the US. So no international kids. So it was really just like a couple hundred kids sprawled out across campus. It was kind of a nightmare. You weren't allowed to go into other people's dorm rooms. There's social distancing. So it was a perfect time just to like be heads down, grind. So I was doing a lot of day trading. I was losing a lot of money. I was finding whatever I could get my hands on, and school was kind of a breeze. It was kind of a joke.
Yeah, I mean, I went remote from the school I went to, and I started working at Barstool again because it was kind of like, this is like,
you got all this time on your hands.
Got to do a side hustle.
Yeah, you have to do a side hustle. And honestly, school is a breeze because everyone, like, it was so easy. People weren't taking it seriously, and you were trying to figure out if you're going to die the next day from COVID. Who knows? I still remember this. Like I was watching all these TikToks of sort of New York City waves. I never lived in New York City yet, and all the rallying cries and sort of the like when I feel like when the doctors, the nurses would sort of walk outside, and then there's the wave 2. There's the second strain of COVID coming out. It was all nuts, man.
Well, we were all scared back then. Now that we know, it's like, oh, well.
Dude, monkeypox is starting to blow up across Africa.
Dude, Sneaky just got back. Sneaky. Don't got the monkeypox, though. They ask you at the border, did you do this? And I'm just like, yo, dude, I didn't have sex with a monkey, so I don't have monkeypox. Like, they literally ask you that when you get to the border. Like,
you just got back from that trip. I know.
Yeah, so
right?
That was crazy. But before
maybe I got to stay a little. Listen,
don't worry. We don't have to touch. But getting back to the first time you left school, before we get into founding Dub, what was that venture?
So it was VR and education, and all the startupies out there that want to do a startup or run a company, do not get into. It was virtual reality education. My bad. So it was the first company I ran. It's called Realism. It was a virtual reality education company where we would build these educational simulations in virtual reality. And there were things that you'd always wanted to do, but you could never do or afford in the classroom. So for example, going to the moon to run a science experiment. We build lab simulations for all this crazy expensive simulations. 2, going to Spain to practice your Spanish. You can't do that today. Everyone wants to go on a trip, super expensive. And that's the power of virtual reality. You could create these simulated experiences. I'd say we were super early. It's 2016. Think about it. That's when Oculus Rift had just come out with their very first consumer headset. That's when Palmer Luckey, I don't know if you guys follow all the tech stuff, but this is like way back then, right? And I'd say 2 is we chose literally the crappiest, or not the crappiest, okay, mad respect to all the educators and all the ed tech companies out there. One of the toughest industries to build tech in is education, especially because when you're selling to schools, especially public schools, they have very designated set budgets every year. There's 30 layers of bureaucracy from the school, the superintendent, to the teacher, to the parents, all these decision makers. And they have these long sales cycles where it's on a yearly basis they do planning. It's basically impossible to sell a product into public K-12 schools because there's just so much friction. And I thought it was kind of cool because I knew we did it because we were in school. We sort of knew the problems that the kids were having. At the end of the day, that doesn't really matter. It's like, do you have the connections? Can you network with the teachers and the superintendents that control the budgets? So we were way out of our league. We love the tech though. So we spent 2.5 years building this VR tech. And we raised some money. So that was the first time that I sort of got exposure to the venture capital world. And after we raised some money, we did I remember our first check was actually the MIT Media Lab ran accelerator for different companies called Play Labs. And they wrote a $20,000 check into us. And they did a 3-month accelerator program at the MIT Media Lab over the summer. Whoa. And it's kind of like a version of Y Combinator, if you guys have heard of that, but way less prestigious. And that was when I think I was 16 then. So I went out to MIT, me and my 2 co-founders. We spent the summer there. We got like a 1-bedroom apartment. We had air beds stacked up. We were like basically the social network scenes where you see all the dorm room guys sleeping together on ramen. That's literally awesome. I remember we had a $400 stipend a month for the 3 of us each.
Oh my God.
And it was nuts. It was a very christening moment. It was like trial by fire. And I really love that though. It's like, You knew nothing else. You were just a pure kid going out there and building great tech.
Dude, imagine if you had hit it right before the pandemic.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone was looking for simulated, all that sort of stuff. If you everyone's looking to do remote shit.
I know. If we started 4 years later, and that's like some of the best ideas are always started a couple of years before they're actually good. And someone does it. Now, I'm pretty sure there's someone doing VR that's successful now.
Yeah.
In education.
So you get into Harvard.
Yeah.
Congrats. That's, the creme de la creme of schools.
Yes, sir.
I mean, you already were doing a lot. You were already doing startups before you even graduated high school. So it kind of makes sense. You're in your freshman dorm. You're kind of thinking of things. You're definitely an entrepreneur, constantly thinking of ways to make money. From our brief conversations, you talked about how, coming from Detroit into an area like that, like it really motivated you to try to like create something.
It really did. And I'll say it started even earlier than that a little bit. So my parents immigrated from China. We were dirt poor, came with like $500 and 2 suitcases. And we didn't have much money growing up. They started working out for Ford and GM. That's why we moved to Detroit. We were an auto family. And I remember my dad's first job. He was making it was actually before Ford and GM. He did some postdoc work at one of the universities. And he was making like $10,000 a year. And it was barely enough to sort of get by. And my mom had gone back to school. So I definitely the immigrant mindset and like went through a lot of shit growing up. Right. And I think when I first came in contact, honestly, and we had this conversation with like money and I got my eyes kind of exposed to what the good life was kind of like was before Harvard, it was actually in middle school. So we moved around a bunch. I lived in rural Texas for 1st through 5th grade. We moved back to Detroit after. But TLDR, I got a scholarship, financial aid to this private school in Detroit called Cranbrook. And it's from the 8 Mile, he's like F Cranbrook. That's what everyone knows.
Yeah.
So I started there 7th grade. And it was the first time where I see kids pulling up to school in Escalades. And I was like, oh my God. I felt so insecure. I felt way out of place. I felt way out of my league, but also felt the chip on my shoulder. I was like, I want to be that. I want that. And like as a kid, we're going through puberty and you're finding your way in life. You want the cool things that every other kid has.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of my life and my early life was defined by just these experiences where we didn't have much. I wanted more. And my parents are pretty, I think, strict. And honestly, they wanted the best out of me. So they had high expectations. And and that's part of the reason, honestly, I think like I wanted to do startups. I wanted to create something. And a lot of people say it's for purely the mission. I think I call bullshit on that. In the early days, in the later stages, it might be after you made your money, but a lot of it was wanting to make money and be able to provide for my family and live a much better life than my parents had back in China and what we grew up around, because it was frankly pretty tough. I remember like we would go to the Chinese buffet and that was like the $9.99 buffet and we'd starve ourselves for a day to load up for that. And that was my childhood. It really was. Yeah.
I mean, so how does that bring you to like crafting the idea? Because a lot of people show the problem, like they can see like there's a problem here, but not a lot of people can see the problem and then try to create a solution. And find that market share. So what was developing the idea for Dub? How did it start?
Yeah. So a big part of sort of coming to the US and what was really cool for my parents was being able to invest for the first time. That was a foreign concept in China. So they had the first exposure to 401k, Roth IRA, and just wealth creation and perpetuation is because people invest. And we've historically had vehicles for wealth perpetuation in the United States, the greatest capitalist market store. We invented a lot of these modern concepts that we have. And for my parents, sort of like seeing that, getting exposed to that, they really wanted my sister and I to start learning those things early on. So I remember they opened me a custodial account on Scottrade when I was in 2nd grade. So a custodial account is like an account that your parents can open for you for if you're under 18 to trade. So I remember they gave me $100, $200. It was back when there were $7 commissions per trade. I started learning how to invest, and it wasn't much money, but I learned sort of the hard way of sort of doing research and sort of like, so basically since then, my whole life, I've been an investor. Got into crypto a little early, did all these weird things, dabbled in, didn't make much money, netted out probably positive, but learned a lot along the way. And when COVID happened, and I remember I was still a senior in high school, and I was locked in and I was just day trading 24/7. I got myself into these discords and FinTwit, and I just found this online community that spoke to me. And like everyone was just YOLOing these crazy 0-day options calls. It was nuts. And that was the first time I felt this new wave, this new revolution almost. You're tapping this crazy energy that's bubbling up. And whenever you're at those moments, it's like it's intoxicating to be part of this this group of people that care about something the same way that you do. And so while I was doing all these crazy trading, and then GameStop happens in 2021, the meme stock blow up. And this is the first time that I not only saw sort of the craziness of trading, but also the power of the individual. And individuals I saw for the first time were coming up against the institutions, the storied hedge funds of the world, and we were taking them down. And that is a really powerful feeling to sort of have when the regular average American retail investor was able to come up against these mega billionaire hedge funds that traditionally or colloquially that everyone thinks have dominated the markets. So that to me was a representation also of this new trend of where the younger generation, our generation investor, it's no longer about sitting behind a bunch of screens and looking at the numbers, whatever the fundamentals. A lot of it is about following people and ideas. We're narrative-driven creatures, and that's what we care about, the FOMO, the clout. And I was like, wow, oh my God, it's so cool to feel this. And I remember I was live streaming, Dave was live streaming. He's part of one of these guys that's leading the wave and the charge of these individuals that thousands, tens of thousands of people are just watching on a live stream. Dave didn't even have it was just him. He didn't even have any screenshots or anything on Davey Day Trader Global. It was the plainest shit ever, but it was so cool to see someone care, right? And then I had the idea of like, wow, it shouldn't be like really simple to sort of copy the expert. So I actually found that on the internet. There are all these Discord servers where you can subscribe $10, $20, $30, $100 a month to get their trades. And these gurus would post your trades live. And then you'd rush to go to your Robinhood to try and replicate their trades. And digging into that, I was like, holy shit, this is a massive market. And some of these guys were really actually good. Of course, there's the crap, there are the furus or the fake guys. But some of them were really good. And I was like, wow, it's so cool where you can just copy the professionals. And if you go to sort of the broader ideas of the markets, and sort of what we're used to as human beings, like in every area of our life, we really actually just do trust professionals in difficult things, lawyers, doctors. And I was like, wow, this is actually a similar concept. Investors should be able to trust other professional, good investors. Like we aren't that great at investing ourselves, right? Like 87% of retail underperforms the markets. But that was originally sort of the idea and how it came to be and being as part of that. And then when I saw that, like, hey, would there be a simpler way to like easily make it possible for anyone to copy someone else's trades, not someone like me that's able to be technical savvy enough to pay a Discord subscription and have a Robinhood going, right? Could we build this into a simpler process where it'd be like one tap to copy someone else? That was really the root of the idea. And then it goes back to sort of, I launched a first company and built a lot of VR software. We were lucky enough to sell that company. Didn't work out as a business. We got acquired. And then my first small little stimulus check, walked away with a couple $100,000. Then I was lucky enough to go work at Apple.
How much?
A couple $100,000. It wasn't that much.
A couple $100,000?
Yeah, it was enough to be like, holy shit, like tech can make you some money. I was like, what, 7-year-old kid then? So
you made a couple $100,000 when you're 17? Dude, that's the fucking American dream. What did your parents say?
It was like, my dad was kind of out of my life then, but my mom was like, that's like a tech salary for a year. And she was like, that's not enough money. I was like, Mom, it was okay though. The good thing is we paid all of our investors back then. Double. We had raised a couple $100,000, met some angel investors. That was a really proud moment. I was like, wow, I paid my investors back double the money they invested in.
Wow.
Yeah, everyone with their money back. And I was able to walk away with a very substantive amount of money as a kid. And yeah.
So my question is, how does it work? So like, I'm the type of guy, I freaking ran for Congress because I was so fed up with all these politicians specifically manipulating the system, being on the boards, on certain committees and boards, getting inside information, NVIDIA with Nancy Pelosi, knowing with the CHIPS Act and them knowing where to invest the money before, like all the people who invested in medical stocks before COVID, because they knew this was the type of stuff that was just pissing me off. And I was like, I'm going to run for Congress because like the guy in the district I'm running in, he's not even even reporting the stocks he's trading.
Yeah.
It's illegal, and he's only getting a $50K fine after he's made a couple $1 million.
Yeah.
That was what was pissing me off. And then I ran
absolutely.
just like the same way that RFK recently got kicked off of the ballot, I got kicked off. And I was like, okay, so this whole thing's fucking rigged.
Yeah.
And honestly, instead of feeling helpless, I was like, thinking like, how the fuck could someone
Can't join and beat them?
Yeah, if you can't beat them, join them. And I was in that mode. I think a lot of people are, and you guys came up with the solution. So then we were, looking around, and through a mutual connect brought me Dub, and I was like, whoa, this is an insane product. This thing, you can put your money in, and it exactly copies the portfolios. So for example, Warren Buffett recently dumped billions of dollars of stock into cash right before the whole stock market crashed, and then bought everything back on pennies of the dollars. Like, how can you make sure your money is being taken care of, and those decisions and that info you can take advantage of? And you guys have been the perfect opportunity. I put in $1,000 a week ago, and I put it into, I'll tell you exactly what I put it into. So I'm in Bill Ackman, Nancy Pelosi, Tommy Tuberville, and two other Focus Growth, which is he's like the best trader on your platform, and AI Takeover. And I've already made $50 doing nothing. Like, it's
a week. That's a pretty good return. That's 5% in a week.
That's I mean, that's 5% in a week, and there's 52 weeks in a year. So like,
I love it.
That's crazy returns. And like, look, I'm not someone who watches the stock market every day. I know guys who day trade. My job doesn't. I'm looking at other stuff on the internet. This product is perfect for someone who doesn't want to watch the stock market, but wants the results that these people who, the only ones who are winning on Wall Street are the ones with the inside information who get it legally. Somehow they're able to get it legally. So like, it's like, not studying for the test and getting the results of the people who have the answers. I mean, it's the perfect product for that. And I just want to know, there's a lot of services like yours, and I know the answer to this, but why is your platform different than other people?
Yeah, I'll give a couple reasons. First is we've been working on this company for 3 years now, and we only launched, I think, less than half a year ago. And part of the reason why it took so long to launch was we were getting licensed and regulated. So we were actually the very first broker dealer, so we're a licensed brokerage, just like Schwab, Fidelity, Robinhood, that is offering copy trading. And I think that is the number one distinction. And we're the only regulated platform to offer copy trading. And copy trading, the ability to copy people like Nancy Pelosi and other traders, etc. And that was really important to us, because if we were going to do this, we wanted to do it right. And for us, that meant going to the regulators, working with them, and introducing this completely new concept of enabling a regular retail investor to copy the trades of someone else. So I think that's a number one differentiation point. Like, when you come to us, you're getting that stamp approval, you're getting that safety, and they're getting that regulated sort of stamp of, this is a platform that I can trust. You look at a lot of other people that may be offering some version of this, they're not regulated. They're just a technology overlay with no fiduciary obligation, and they make you plug in your Robinhood or something like that, right? Like, all the risk is on you, and they're just a sort of technology layer. So I'd say that probably is the number one thing. Like, we got to protect our customers, and everyone's account is SIPC insured up to $500,000. Your cash is FDIC insured up to millions of dollars. Like, this is legit, right? I think that was the number one thing. And that goes to the values of the company, trust and transparency. That really matters to us. Second is just even the quality of the portfolios that you're copying. For example, copying Nancy Pelosi or Bill Ackman, right? We actually hired our head of investments. He's a quant portfolio manager from some of the top hedge funds ever. Millennium Management, $70 billion of AUM. He worked at Goldman Sachs. He was an MIT physics PhD and a Harvard math undergrad, been trading for the past 20 years, trading billions of dollars of the biggest hedge funds. He's sort of semi-retired now. He's working with us, and he's being really generous. Like, we're not paying him nearly as well as he was used to making, but he really loves the vision and the product. And he's built these portfolios that are tracking the filings of the Nancy Pelosi's of the world, of the politicians, of the hedge funds. And he's not just doing it tit for tat. He actually built a sophisticated algorithm to ingest and download and scrape all this data from Nancy Pelosi's filings, for example, put it through his algorithm, and actually build and spit out what he believes is the best version of Nancy's filings to trade for a retail investor. Think about it. Nancy's filings has a lot of complex options, calls, puts, calls, longs, so many different types of trades, right? Not all of those are good. And for like a regular retail investor, like I don't think people should be YOLOing crazy options without any downside protection, like sort of her and her husband are doing, right? So we've built this algorithm that actually generates sort of the best version of any of these copied politicians or insider filings or hedge funds for the regular retail investor. So that's, I think, too, right? It's really high quality. And we've tried to like really invest in making sure that whichever product that we're offering, it's the best. And I can't guarantee you this, but I'm pretty damn sure, I'm very confident saying that we've got sort of the best version of the Nancy Pelosi tracker or portfolio out there in the market, just given the amount of research, time, energy that we put in to make it so good. And I think third is we really, really care about making sure that our data is accurate and right. And part of that comes from sort of every single trade on the platform, every copy that you make is executed real time. And we're able to do this because we're actually the brokerage. We can actually execute and control and make sure all the orders going out are executed fairly at the same price as the person that's trading portfolio that you're copying, and done in a way that's equal and fair. So for example, when you're copying Nancy Pelosi and on the platform and she makes a trade, right? Sometimes, yes, her trade filings are delayed. That's inevitable. But our algorithm takes into account sort of her delays and models what it thinks should be the best trade based on delays. And then when that trade does happen, it's done automatically for you. And that trade, no matter who's in that trade, sort of everyone gets the same price and the same execution sort of at the same time. So there's no sort of front running, no sort of underneath the table something happening. You can be confident that whatever you're copying on the platform, you're going to get sort of the highest quality. So to me, those are sort of the top three things. And it's taken a long time to build that out. It's taken a long time, a lot of investment, a lot of dollars, the regulatory, the algorithms, the infrastructure, the programming, and just the thought process and how we construct this. But I think that's our dedication. We are masters. We want to be masters of the craft to create the best product possible.
Yeah. When I was looking into this, there's several iterations of copy trading.
Yeah.
You guys did it the right way. You guys got the certification. You're not just some shitty add-on that's saying, do this, do this, do this. You're doing it. I can put my money in there and just like not think about it.
Yep.
And like, I'll check it every now and then and be like, oh, it's cool. Like I don't have to be in the weeds. This product is just like, honestly, I think like one of the pinnacles of the information, internet age, in that like the internet allowed information to go to so many people, like stuff that was only in the libraries of Harvard, but it opened it up to the entire world. And now we have all the information and we don't even need to know the information. We just see the trades, this very centralized information that, only Warren Buffett knows, only like high traders know, only the super rich who invest their money with certain accounts know. But now that, everything can be seen in the public, the common man can then get that information, like trickle down's the wrong word, but like can see what it is and then get the same returns.
Exactly. And this is what I like to say. We're bringing Main Street to Wall Street.
Yeah.
So, and I resonate with that. It's like, I'll throw my sister under the bus here, but she works in private equity. She was in banking. She's on the other side of the table where they're managing money for all these billionaire families and all these sovereign wealth funds. And sort of like through her and life and my friends, and you've seen the ultra wealthy, those historically have been the only people that can access sort of the best hedge funds and the smartest people that know how to invest, right? Like today, I can't go to Ken Griffin to tell him, hey, take my $1,000, right? He's only going to take a $50 million, $100 million, $1 billion check from sort of the billionaire next door. Even so, you may not get in his hedge fund, right? And practically, you need to be an accredited investor or qualified purchaser, meaning that you need to be worth $2 or $5 million plus to get access to these alternative investments as mandated by even the federal government, right? So it hasn't been accessible, even if you want to. Like, how many people are worth more than $2 million? So the idea is with Dove is like, can we democratize this access to enabling the regular average guy like you and me with $1,000 should be able to copy the top investors and follow them and invest alongside the best talent and join them, right? Frankly. And whether that applies to politicians, whether it applies to sort of hedge fund filings, or whether it is, everyone has that story of, or knows that one buddy who lives in his mom's basement, who's the most phenomenal trader, that one guy in your text group that's sort of setting all the best stock picks or crypto picks, and everyone wants to copy them, right? And like, we're enabling that to be possible. And to me, like, I want to surface the next generation, crowdsource, to your point, in this information age, the next generation of top talent, and the next Warren Buffetts of the world to really come from sort of a platform like this, where we built an app in a marketplace. It's almost kind of like Instagram or Airbnb for investing, where we're going to have some influencers who are these top new investors that anyone, millions of people can invest alongside. And I think that's fundamentally just so cool to me and very philosophical to sort of the way that I view the world of democratization. And finance to me is like just one of the final frontiers that hasn't really happened. Like, you can't really think of a social investing app that's out there. There really isn't. And we want to be the first ones to do that.
So, I mean, in sports, so the thing is, sports gambling, people aren't even investing retail wise in the stock market anymore. A large majority, because they've realized since the Robinhood stuff, and I'm about to play hardball with you in a second.
Okay.
Since the Robinhood stuff, like retail investing, they think's totally rigged. Yeah. And they're like, I have more insight on, sports on, Thursday night football than I do, whether I should buy NVIDIA or whether I should buy this stock. And I think a lot of that has to do with like Wall Street's caught up a little bit to retail investing. Yep. And, people have gotten screwed over with the Robinhood saga with Citadel and everything, which I'll let you. So, for the listeners, for the crackheads, by the way, keep betting on sports. It's fun. It is fun. But if you're looking for some stuff to do with savings or whatnot, if you're thinking about putting money into the stock market, I would highly suggest this is almost the most educated way to do it, because guess what? You don't have to be educated. You got the smart people doing it. But please assure me that Dub is not going to pull moves like Robinhood did with the managing their volume, with their large scale trades. Like, how can you assure, the listeners and the people that there isn't going to be some sort of manipulation where who handles your deal flow in that regard? Yeah,
absolutely. So I think this is, to me, I think companies and capital markets answer to incentives. And Robinhood's incentive when all this is going down is answering to the people that are making the money. Who makes Robinhood money? It's the Citadels of the world. It's the market makers. It's the people that pay for the order flow, that pay Robinhood for the order flow. So I get it, right? So when Robinhood, or even some of the other brokerages that also had to shut down some trading, they're answering to sort of the incentives and the best decision from a business at the end of the day that drives the most revenue from them or protects the company the most. So I'm not throwing shade at Robin, one of the co-founders and investor, right? I think they've done a great job, especially recently looking at their stock price and innovating, providing more value for the customers. But at the end of the day, like they went through a pretty unprecedented black swan event, and they sort of had a very limited amount of time to respond, and they made a decision. Do I think it was probably the best decision for customers? No, I don't. And I don't think they handled the PR and the cons well. But I would say like they dealt with the best cards that they could during that sort of current time, right? And if you put someone else in those same shoes, then a different management team, who knows how they might have reacted. For us at Dub, right, I think like we fundamentally barely make any money on sort of payment for order flow. If you think about sort of modern markets and sort of like where payment order flow money really comes from, it's by volume of trades, right? Mm-hmm. The more volume individual trades you have, the more order flow revenue you get. On Dub, we're not incentivized to have people buying and selling a ton. We want you to copy one guy once and be invested with him for as long as possible, Warren Buffett style, value investing, is I think there are a couple of statistics. For every day that you aren't invested in the market, if you miss out a couple specific days, you lose out on the majority of those gains. You got to be invested for the long term, because that's when the concept of compounding comes into play. And when you buy and sell a ton, you're getting all these tax implications. You just don't want any of that, right? That eats into your margins completely. So in Dub, like, we want you to be locked in for a long time. I think that's the way that you should invest. You should be not day trading. You shouldn't be reckless with your capital. You should be saving. And with that, right, we're not going to make much money because there's going to be very limited trading activity on the platform. So fundamentally for us, it's like our incentive, and I think from a business standpoint that we've designed is, hey, how do we keep people and how do we create the best product to ensure that there isn't reckless behavior on the platform? So I don't know what the future has in hold, but I think the way that I run the company, and as a product person myself, and as like a front engineer and product person, I'm deeply committed to creating the best and most transparent product for customers. I think by and far, we do that the best out of any other sort of copy trading app on the platform today. Where if you see like all these other copy trading platforms will be showing these yearly averages or these back tested results, they'll basically take sort of their portfolio and say like, how did it perform over the past year theoretically, and they'll advertise that as performance. We never do that, right? Like for us, it's like you get exactly what you see. It's all real performance, real time, and those are all really important things sort of for us. And go back to this question of trust and transparency are key. And if you've used the product, you see that. We provide you all the metrics. You try and update it as real time as possible. And we give you the tools to make a decision, and not trying to obfuscate sort of anything just to make it sort of look better for sort of the user. And maybe that might be better short term, right? And for some companies that are chasing short term gains, they may want to incentivize you to trade a lot more and copy trade a lot more. But we think like to build a great enduring company and to build the best possible customer experience, we got to be long term thinking.
Yeah.
And that's how we design the product. That's how we want our customers to invest. And we do think that creates the best economic outcomes throughout history.
Yeah. I mean, I love the long-term thing. I love because look, I have Roth IRA, and, you know, I used to have a lot more money in the stock market. I sold all before I started running for Congress. Now that I'm, you know, recovering some savings, I'm now thinking, put it in there.
Yeah.
Like some of these trading accounts, I remember I invested in ARK funds, like at the worst time when the market was very overvalued. And I was just like, I stopped looking at it because I was like, the losses are too much. Well, that was loss farming. I lost farmed out of that. But here I feel confident not looking at it because you literally have the best traders and wealth managers in the world handling your little 3 or 4K, like handling, like it's
that's the law of large numbers. And they're interested because usually wealth managers don't care about retail. They're like, oh, I want my 10 guys with 50 million bucks each. Right. But now, and the reason is because like with retail investing, you got to be accredited, all this stuff. But like, if you only had 10 guys with $1,000 each, that's not going to make you any money. Right.
Yeah.
So I think with this is now we are crowdsourcing the demand as well. We want to be the platform for millions of retail. And when you times million people by $1,000, boom, right? You've got $1 billion of capital. And that's much more incentivizing for someone to sort of come on to Dub that's really talented, because they can sort of get copied by that much money. The part of it is like, how do we, I think this is where it's really interesting from a product standpoint. It's marketplace design. How do you fulfill this supply and demand? How do you sort of run a marketplace and make sure that both sides sort of have the right incentives? And how do you create the best product from sort of both sides? That gets me. That's a geeky side of me when it comes to products.
I mean, I feel much more comfortable putting my money in this and then my own brokerage Charles Schwab account. Yeah. Like when I was trading stuff, because honestly, I didn't do well. The biggest benefit of trading my own stocks was I was able to farm my own losses and take it off my taxes at the end of the day.
You know, and that's the beautiful part. Like, I think a lot of people see the politician stuff and they think we're just the app for copy trading Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah.
But to your point, like we're a lot more than that, right? We're crowdsourcing the best trading talent. Yes, you can copy Nancy Pelosi, this portfolio that was built tracking her filings, built by like our head of investments, but you can also copy all these other traders that are coming out of the blue that are really good, right? And
That's where I'm a little skeptical. I like the people with the inside information. I'm not putting my money with some random, like if they're accredited and, they've been doing wealth management for, decades. Yeah. And I'll do that research into the individuals and bet on people. But I don't know if there's some dude, some like 21-year-old who's YOLOing options. I don't know.
No, I agree with you.
It depends on your risk profile.
Right. And I think that's our job too, as a platform, to showcase you the data points to make that decision.
Yeah.
And like, we're kind of agnostic, right? But part of that is what a lot of retail investors don't look at is they see the big return numbers, but they don't think about what is the risk and what is the returns adjusted for risk. And that's when you start thinking like the big brain mode, like how do institutional investors evaluate returns? They always factor risk into account, right? Is if I'm putting up 100% returns and I'm taking on crazy risk, that means I could probably be down 100% tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm putting up 100% returns with a very small unit of risk. That's incredible. That's godly, right? That's what these top hedge funds like Citadel are really good at. They can put up big return numbers, but with very small risks taken on. So for us, and what we found, if you go to the leaderboard on the app, you can literally see the guys with the top returns. And some of the top portfolios with the top returns, yes, Nancy Pelosi's up there, but they're all actually individual traders. And we've just found some of these guys, like one of them, Lawrence, he's this guy who worked at Merrill Lynch 25 years ago. He's been running his own investment advisory shop with a ton of clients.
What's his name?
Focused. You're in
Focused,
it.
yes.
Yeah, I think you're copying him. He's up 100%. Yesterday, he popped 10%. Because he's great at picking small cap stocks. The stock called GIC popped by like some crazy amount yesterday. And he's really good at deep research for these smaller companies. And he's up 100% over the past year. And he's been doing this for the past 30 years. He has his own investment advisor set up with the SEC, right? So like we're finding these incredible guys just out of nowhere. And like, you're right. Like we want to bring these guys out of the woodwork for the masses. And in the past, like he hasn't really grown his business or blown up like a big hedge fund because he's living in Arizona. He doesn't have that much exposure. He's not that great at marketing. And what you realize is with a lot of these hedge funds, they may not do that well, but they're so good at marketing. They've got the network. They got the Harvard pedigree. They've got little connections at Wall Street. There's so many other great talented investors now.
Quick question. What does Focus get as a kickback for good performance?
So right now it's nothing. Sort of he's working with us just out of this, I think, like building a brand, building a following, and building an audience of retail investors. But I think pretty soon we do want to launch. We're working on underneath the hood launching a compensation model for the top traders on the platform.
Oh, nice.
I think that's really important.
Just views wise and follower wise.
Basically a blend of some of these sort of social metrics and copiers. That's really important to us, right? Because we want to make sure that, hey, if you're putting up great numbers, you're able to get sort of compensated and rewarded for that.
So where's the catch? Is it if the Stock Act gets passed in Congress and people in Congress can't trade stocks anymore, that's a downside, but that's only going to take out all the people in government. Like where's the catch? Is it the length of time between submitting, like, cause that's what cause this sounds so good to be true.
Yeah.
Like where is the catch? Is it just,
I think the catch, the politicians, the delay, I think we do our best work to factor that out through running it through the algos and reducing the exposure to delay. But I'd say like, oh man, that's a hard question, Billy, because I really do think the politicians are just freaking phenomenal at what they do.
Yeah.
All right, maybe let me give you a different perspective on this.
Okay.
I actually never think the Stock Act or the Ethics Act is the current one that has bipartisan support. I think 70 to 80 people in Congress have signed it. And this is to totally ban it all, right?
Yeah.
Stock Act was just as close. I don't think anything close or remotely close will ever get past the ban of trading.
There's too much money.
Too much money. Too many incentives.
I saw it. It's ridiculous. I saw it firsthand. Like
the guy you ran against, Suzy, right? This guy had like he was delayed by over a year in filing his stuff.
So the real catch in the whole thing is that our government is corrupt. That's where we lose. You can win with your savings, but the real loss is
exactly
our the people governing us are doing it with monetary incentives in every.
So you got to join them.
Join them.
Yeah, but the other thing I think, like my thesis is, I think they should only be allowed to invest in the broader ETFs or the indexes, the SP, the SPY, right? The S&P 500. And the reason I think that is, I want my politicians to be radically aligned with my incentives as a citizen of the United States. And what does that mean? Like, what is the government's job? It's to create security, to foster economic prosperity. And if all the politicians are only invested in the broader stock market, they're going to be incentivized to make the stock market go up. And that's great for me as an American citizen. And that's alignment incentives. Today, when they can invest in any individual random stock, Tommy Tuberville is going to leverage his position in the Armed Forces Committee to invest that one stock that will propel his own wealth, won't benefit anyone else, right? I think it's either that and align incentives at the macro level for supporting the broader economy, or come to platforms like Dub, where we will allow you to join them, right? And we'll do our best damn job possible to make sure you get as accurate as a copy as possible to what these people are doing through the algorithms that we built, sophistication that I think, like, frankly, it's been pretty good. Nancy's up like 83%. The politicians are just crushing it on Dub, truly. And I think our internal team has done a great job at making sure that we truly are giving the best version of the trades possible.
Do you think so? Will Dub ever trade? Well, are you hoping that Dub trades publicly one day?
Oh, I would love to. I think it would be a dream of mine to go out and ring that bell.
Yeah.
I would say, I think like what's so great about being a public company is now it's part of democratization. Anyone can buy a share. And I think being held accountable, the public markets where retail has a voice, is really important to stay true to your values and stay disciplined as a founder, as a CEO. So I definitely would love Dub to be public one day.
How do you have any enemies with this idea? Are there like people who are pissed that you're copying their trades?
I think it's kind of crazy. I was just tracking. Nancy actually changed her stance. If you look at what she said in 2020, she was gung-ho against the Stock Act. She's like, I think it's a bad idea. And every successive year up until now, she's a supporter of the Ethics Act. She doesn't like say outright, I'm going to pass this, right? But she's like, I do think the politicians should be held accountable for some of these actions. And not just that. Currently, it's the Stock Act only applies to the Congress people, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't apply to the Supreme Court or the executive office. I think like Kamala and Trump have needed to like publish their positions recently, but I don't think there's anything for the Supreme Court of Justices. And I don't know if you guys have seen, but all the activity around Judge Clarence Thomas getting the private jets and the billionaires, all that stuff is crazy, right? So I think this should be broadly applied. But I would say like enemies out there, I think if you look at Tommy too, but a lot of politicians have spoken out against this. People have their incentives, sort of the way it will go. But I do think like if we do have any enemies, we do have some competitor products out there,
right?
That are trying to offer their version of maybe copying politicians. I think we do the best version of that, but no one else has a marketplace where anyone can get copied by anyone else. I think we were truly the first ones to launch that product. Marketplace.
Someone like Warren Buffett or people who charge commission for wealth management.
Yeah.
Are they seeing you basically use their services and being like, wait, we need to cut, you're using my mind? Like, is there any of that?
No, I think from our conversations with some of these bigger firms, let's say even like if you think about the BlackRocks and Fidelities and these massive fund managers of the world, I think they would love to partner with Dub one day and offer like the BlackRock mutual fund or ETF version on Dub, where to me it's like, what do these guys care about? They care about making money and managing more money so they can manage more fees. One day I could see us doing a deal with BlackRock and saying like, hey, Dub will pay you some amount of money to be on Dub and offer your sophisticated portfolios to our retail investors. I'd actually say it's like more of a partnership route than sort of like they're scared. Like, and I think the ultimate version of success for a product like ours is one day I want hedge funds launching on Dub. There should be no reason to spend $1 bajillion to go launch your own hedge fund, and it takes years of time to raise money. You can launch a portfolio on Dub if you're a good trader in 10 minutes, and we're going to put you up in front of millions of people, hopefully, if you're a good trader. And you should be able to get a lot of people following you instantly, just like that. And so like, I think that is really the end vision. Like 10, 15, 20 years from now, we should be the marketplace for any fund manager to raise any sort of money to get copied by anyone. We're going to be the new de facto exchange. There are places, the modern status quo of how capital is connected with talent. And that's really why I believe the vision. That's going to make us $1 trillion company. And that to me is like what I want to dedicate the rest of my life on. I'm obsessed about this. I've seen personally, and I've grown up around, is how investing wealth can change someone's life. And it certainly changed mine. It's changed my family's. And this is, I think, my job for the American people in this great capitalist society they've grown up around.
Wow. That's inspiring. I mean, and you got a lot of life left. You're only 22.
Hell yeah.
Dude, you're only 22. Dude, I'm 25 and you make me feel old, but I didn't even know it. Like, that's wild. But
I'm lucky. I'm really lucky.
Yeah. What is so honestly, I love your viewpoint on America, because there's a lot of people, like when you said that first comment about, investing in China wasn't a thing. Like in America, it's a privilege, and in the way that you approach like a lot of stuff that people take totally for granted in America. I think that's one of the reasons why you're at the position where you are, because you didn't take anything for granted.
Yeah. And
that's just a testament to, what you've built. And I'm a huge fan of everything you're doing. And I'm, this conversation, I was like dipping my toe in. I might throw, most of my savings in here, because I don't see how my own management of the money in different S&P 500 safe bets is going to outbeat, what you guys got going here in returns, because Nancy Pelosi is not taking a loss anytime soon. That greedy fuck, like she's not taking a loss. Fucking like, I'm not a financial advisor. Don't quote me on that. I don't know how, but like, this is an amazing product. I'm so happy that you're partnering with us, and I cannot wait for the stuff we're going to get going in the future. Are we going to get, can we get the crackheads some sort of promo code so they can get,
we'll get the crackheads some sort of promo code right now. We're going to have a link in I don't know what the link is yet, but the link in Billy's bio, let's tap that. You'll get, at least we're going to give the crackheads a 1 week free trial of the product. And also, if you refer your friends, you get $20 and your buddy gets $20. So you can start copping Nancy with a $20 for free if you just get the ball rolling there. So I think, And
hey, can we do some promo code Billy? I get $20. They get $20. They're all my friends. I'm referring them.
Billy, you can refer as many friends as you want.
If I tweet my referral, tweet your referral. Okay.
Billy just might rack up the biggest referral list. I had to put a limit on that. I had to go talk to our engineer. Billy's about to go viral.
Just give them 20, we'll figure it out.
Billy, if you go viral with, if you get like Billy, I'll put this challenge right now. If you get like 500 referrals through your link, I'll give you like a 25% bonus. How's that sound?
Perfect. That sounds good. That sounds good.
I sit on camera.
Let's get it. Come on, crackheads. 500. We can do that. We can do that.
Challenge is on. Crackheads.
Easy.
We're gonna give Billy a 25%. That's a lot of money.
And
that's
then
like
we can use it for merch. Crackheads.
Exactly.
We're getting merch.
More sponsorships for crackheads. We're going viral.
Yeah.
But I just want to get Billy, like, I really appreciate it. We spent some time off camera already. And your story, your background, I think we share a lot of that similar chip on our shoulders. And I'm just like, I'm long people. That's my job. And I think it's just a privilege to be able to work with you. I think you're early on in your career. Some of the things that you've done have just been incredible, running for office. How people will do what you've done and have the balls to go out and do that. I have mad respect for that. And like, to me, it's like, I want to grow with you, man. I see us taking off. I see us having this long-term partnership. Dave's probably had some key milestone partnerships in his life. He's gotten to where he is. I'm saying this here. Let's make crackheads. Let's make Billy the #1 guy at all Barstool the next 2 to 3 years, or maybe next year. Let's blow this crap up. Yeah. Let's go for the moon.
Hell yeah.
I'm just really long, people, and like, let's do this. I think we've got a great mission. We're locked in, baby.
Some of the stuff that you've done, like, different people got different brains. Some of the stuff you've done terrifies me. The fact, like, trying to raise money, that amount of money, like, I can't even carry too much money on me. It makes me nervous. Having to ask other people for money, like large amounts.
Some of those are scary conversations.
Yeah. What's it like? Okay. What's it like pitching? Like a whole group of like super big money, man. Like,
so I'll tell the story about, I'll give you a couple interesting stories. So one was Dara. Dara's a CEO of Uber.
Yeah.
So like, I get introduced to him by somehow is like, like one of our investors is like, my buddy's Dara, you should talk to him. He might be interested. Uber is like a marketplace. You're kind of building like Uber for investing. You're connecting people with like people like manage money, whatever, drivers to sort of drive, whatever, how riders to drivers. And I remember like, I just get a call on a Sunday. I was in San Francisco, and then Dara's like, I think there's a lot of commotion in his background. I see what he's doing. I think he's on vacation with his whole family. And he's just one of the most intense, laser focused guys I've ever met. And I think in the 30 minutes I spend with him, and he's probably vacationing in his villa somewhere, it is just value after value after value. And you know what? Honestly, like, there wasn't anything, I think, too extraordinary about sort of the advice that he was giving. But like through this fundraising process, I was able to just see how the best minds in the world work. And just the discipline, the level of intensity that they operate by, and just the inspiration. That's just been sort of honestly absolutely incredible for me. And I've been lucky. Like, we got Ryan. I remember talking to Ryan. I don't even know who Ryan Tedder was. He's the lead singer of One Republic. He's one of our investors. And he just pops on. He's in this hat. He's in these sunglasses on the Zoom. It's the grainiest fucking Zoom ever. He's like, yo, what's up? I'm like, yeah, hey. And he's on another call with an investor. I think he just hopped on. And you just get in these crazy moments. And I fundraised during Zoom, right? So everything was virtual. It was a really crap experience. And it was really insane because the good thing about Zoom, and when you're pitching investors over Zoom, instead of traveling to 3 places a day and pitching 3 investors and driving everywhere, flying everywhere, you can pack in like 20 conversations a day. So I was staying up online. I was pitching investors in the Middle East, Israel, Saudi Arabia, China, all of these investors globally. So I was up for like 16, 17, 18 hours, 24/7. And I actually got hospitalized. I had pancreatitis. That's what she died of, like pancreatitis. It's a pre-onset to pancreatic cancer. So I was immobilized for like
You had pancreatitis?
During fun. It was so brutally stressful. I was just, it was so intense and nerve wracking because you're talking to these billionaires. So much money is on the line. And I think my body shut down. I wasn't eating properly. I wasn't working out. I lost like 15, 20 pounds. Dude, this process.
Were you like slamming energy drinks? Like,
dude, you should have seen. My roommates can attest. I'm an addict for Diet Mountain Dew, that caffeine gum, everything to the max. I just load up as much as possible. And I'm a creature of habit. So I had my sweet green salads. I'd order 3 of the same bowls once a day. I had them stacked up in the quarter. Diet Mountain Dews, caffeine gum, loaded up. That was my gun. If I just juiced out the Diet Mountain Dew, I'd do Diet Root Beer because Diet Root Beer doesn't have caffeine. I like the taste. And it was just, my body's collapsed. I shut down.
16. Dude, never try any hard stimulant. If you like, never, dude.
I have not.
You're 20. You're 22 years old. If anyone offers you any of that shit, don't.
Yeah, I know. I've got an obsessive person. So but it was tough. I thought the world was gonna fall. I couldn't talk. It was the middle of the fundraise. I thought everything was going to fall apart.
Yeah.
So I was the most scared I've ever been in my life.
It was almost a goal. You didn't take for granted that gold mine of being able to not have to be in person, and you took as many calls as you could.
I was cold emailing. I remember how I met the co-founder, Robin. I cold emailed the VP of engineer at the time, or LinkedIn DM'd him. We replied. I'm like, and I asked him, like, he wanted to invest on the call. I'm like, hey, can you introduce me to some other homie? Maybe this guy. And he's like, oh yeah, I'll just introduce you to Nate. Co-founder Robin. And I was like, hell yeah. Just hopped on a call with him. It's the grind. You got to be obsessive. I was hiring VAs in the Philippines and Upwork to automate email outreach for me. You got to go all out.
What's a VA?
Virtual assistant.
Oh, okay.
So you got to get scrappy as heck. I had an address. I'd sort of send sort of handwritten cards to people. You got to to take the very best, you just got to go all out. And to me, it's like, I'm going to get the shot once in a lifetime. I've got a rare opportunity. How many people get this? I do whatever I can to maximize chance of success. So it doesn't come easy. And so I recovered. It was a couple of days. I called 911. I was actually in New York traveling to meet investors. It was COVID, so it was all social distance. It was late 2021. I called 911 in my hotel room because I was just on the ground, cranked by pancreatitis. And I was hospitalized. It was shit. I was real lucky. My sister was in Boston at the time. She for a conference. She was just about to graduate from U of M. She came up to sort of be with me for a day, but it was like a couple of days. I was just dead and out.
You were running until your wheels fell off.
Yeah, I remember I was using my Apple Watch. I could barely move. I didn't have my phone, so I was using my Apple Watch to text.
911 for your Apple Watch? Dude, you got that dog and you run till you die. I mean, that is a world that I could never do. The whole like, executive function of emails, reaching out to people, the social anxiety of like this guy, like I'm going on this Zoom. This guy might think I'm a total fraud.
Honestly, I'm nervous as hell. It's like, I'll be honest. Like I grew up with real strict Asian parents. So, and part of the thing about being a good Asian kid is like pleasing your parents. You're trained, that's beat into you. And I think that was my nature and nurture. And I think I've always had anxiety through my life dealing with power figures because of how I was raised. So I was scared of getting spanked, beat by my parents. So especially when I was on these calls and these billionaires that have gotten to where I want to go, that have built some of the most phenomenal tech companies in the world, the best products, I was scared of my mind.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that even today that I work on. Like, how do I not be nervous when I deal with sort of power figures? And I don't think I've gotten out of my system yet, but part of it, I think I've really just realized, and I still am not the best at it. I think, and I've done a lot of therapy work and executive coaching to work on this, but you've already sort of arrived in many ways, right? How many people have the chance to do what I do? I got to constantly remind myself of that. I never celebrate. And I think there's something powerful about building gratitude in your life. And that's something that my parents would have said that's total voodoo bullshit. But today, now, I think like there is some element to, I think, doing what's resourceful for you and understanding what are the patterns and beliefs that have shaped you in your past that don't serve you today. And maybe, yes, that level of obsessiveness and different things got me to where I want to go. And that way of wanting to please other people may have served me well in these pitches. But today, like, I don't necessarily know if that serves me well as I'm now leading a team and I've got 20 mouths to feed and hopefully a lot more soon as we raise more money. We're growing blistering fast. And that's part of the journey. That's definitely part of the journey. And man, there's so much to think about.
Dude, you're 22 years old. That's like you're 22-year-old and you have.
My time's running out, Bill.
Yeah, your time's not running out, dude. You got plenty of time. You can go bankrupt.
It's a good beer.
Yeah.
No,
you can go bankrupt and you only been drinking for 1 year. You can go bankrupt and make $1 billion twice before you die. Like probably way more than that. You got way more shit put together than I did at 22 years old. And that's very impressive.
I'm lucky, but we're going to make this billion together.
I'm
Dub on this dive train.
$1 billion.
We're on the dub train now. We're going for the B.
Yeah, we're going for that billion.
Billion. Double B, baby. Not triple B. Not big baller. But.
Steven, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Billy.
Thank you for sponsoring the podcast.
Yes, sir.
Honestly, shout out to the crackheads. If it wasn't for you guys, crack maidens, crack thems, like we wouldn't be here. You know, we've really built something the past couple months. We've been swinging it out. And honestly, this is for everyone who just really works hard and puts into something. You do it with Dub. I do with AUDIOCRAIC. And, you know, this was a really inspiring interview for me. And now I want to go, you know, get this going. So thanks everybody. Subscribe, interact with the podcast, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Instagram. We're going to have a lot of great Dub content coming out. And, you know, I think we're going to have some TV spots that I want to.
Oh yeah. We're going to get that Super Bowl ad.
Yeah.
Putting Bill up there.
Yeah, dude, I got a freaking, I got a whole 10, like I have 10 ideas that
All right, crackheads. Next year goal, Billy Super Bowl ad sponsored by Dub.
Let's go.
Make this happen.
Let's go.
Let's happen. Let's make
To
this
the
happen.
moon,
I'm saying
baby.
it here.
All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks for coming on, Steven,
Awesome.
once again.
Thank you, Billy.
Perfect. Let's wrap.
Daddy used to knock them down, yeah, and I should have known not to mess it